Cheers!
Thank you. I like yours too.
Thank you!
So I'm a social media guy, and if it doesn't happen on social media, it's like it never happened.
Oh my God, don't get jealous.
I speak French, Punjabi. I understand Hindi and Urdu.
I fully support same-sex marriage. We need to have safe injection sites. We need to focus on harm reduction.
Okay, so you got policy ideas, but do you know how to dance?
I do.
You get the impression that the white media seems hit by a kind of exotica.
Do you think Canada is ready for a Sikh Prime Minister?
Thank you.
We're not worried about this.
This question of, is Jagmeet a separatist? These are not questions that we would ask, if someone had an Irish descent.
In this edition of The Fifth Estate, David Common tells the inside story of Jagmeet Singh's campaign.
I also do use that. This is the number one I do, like the beat. So I do that a lot.
Jagmeet Singh is like a boxer before a match. In this ring, he's the underdog. Last to enter the race, and outside of Ontario, few know him.
I am proud to announce that I am running to be the leader of the new Democratic Party of Canada.
But the young, polished newcomer has plenty of swagger. Bold for a man now learning he's up against the party establishment.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very nice speech.
Thank
You gave me goosebumps.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you, thank you.
Literally, the scrum area is right in front of us.
We had it 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Singh is about to hold his first press conference.
And we'll also step in if we think it's going too long, right? So.
At his side, two key confidants who will guide him to victory. Longtime friend and now press secretary Amneet Bali,
Okay, soon. We're ready.
along with Jack Layton's former speechwriter, Willie Blum.
I'm thinking you might have some questions.
Only minutes in, there's a heckler ranting about religion.
It almost sounded violent. So in that moment, what I'm thinking is the safety of Jagmeet, the safety of others in the room, and how do we de-escalate this situation as quickly as we can.
It's off camera, but close enough that his team ends the news conference.
So when I kind of give this signal, she wrapped up the questions and we took them to a pathway in the back, through the kitchen, and to another room. There's a guy that was on the side that was trying to get in. He was being a bit aggressive.
She's just saying that he's out there, and she said it's not safe to go out.
But that is exactly what Jagmeet wants to do.
I'm comfortable with him. It's fine. He'll be okay. Tell him I think I can defuse him.
This would be an early glimpse of his style, embracing confrontation to disarm it. But his team is nervous.
Yeah, you don't want that to become the story.
Okay, I have to defuse a random guy.
Yeah. Even if you're very good at it, there's other things we want to get out there.
It would become a recurring theme of the campaign. More questions about religion would follow. And in many ways, Singh has been preparing for them his whole life.
Right around when I was 7, I started keeping my hair and wearing kind of like a kid's version of a turban. And that's around the time where I started facing more and more bullying based on the way I looked. And I remember that distinctly, and that being kind of an ongoing thing. And it really makes you feel like, there's something wrong with you for being you, something that you can't change. It's not like you can change the color of your skin. So it really gives you this sense of shame about who you are. But the positive side of it was that I became more sensitive to unfairness around me. So once I started experiencing it myself, I noticed that I wasn't alone.
Jagmeet Singh was born in Ontario, but early on his father moved the family to Newfoundland to finish medical school. The tallest here, that's Jagmeet, with his sister Manjot and brother Guratan.
Big brother Jagmeet to me was someone who was always looking after me. He was someone who, at one point in my life, I think it's fair to say, he almost took on the role of a father figure.
But something else was happening too. At home, Singh's father was suddenly sick, couldn't work, with money drying up, it was up to the eldest son.
I was the only person earning money in the family, the only person that was paying for the bills. And I know a bit of what it's like to have that pressure of not being able to, or the pressure of knowing that if I don't work, we're not going to be able to afford food.
He relieved that pressure with mixed martial arts, even had dreams of becoming a professional. But then took up law. Close friend Amit, though, was sure he was destined for politics.
He's the guy that everyone in our community looks at as an older brother. He's the guy you go to for advice. So he's someone that we all look up to, we all connect to, and everyone respects.
It was a rapid ascent. Within a few years, he'd be elected in Ontario, then rising to become deputy leader of Ontario's NDP.
Cool. Are you ready to march?
I'm ready to march, yeah.
You're marching in Birkenstocks.
In Birks. Is that cool or not cool? I don't know.
I mean, like, it's a gay parade. So I feel like Birkenstocks are totally fitting.
They're totally fitting? Okay, good.
You have no idea how much I love you.
Ah, you're awesome. Thank you.
Montreal's Pride Parade. A big platform, and marching just steps in front of Singh, the man he needs to upstage, Justin Trudeau. Singh is a threat to the Liberals, especially in the diverse suburbs of Toronto and Vancouver, key to any majority.
Hey, comment ça va?
Singh may look relaxed, but he has a problem here in Quebec. At the heart, questions about the role religion plays on his politics. Concern coming not just from the right, but from the progressive left.
Most people who have concern with him are concerned because of the fact that he's showing his religion and it's having an impact on its political vision.
Hélène Bouzetti is the parliamentary bureau chief for Le Devoir.
For most people, it's really a question of what's the place of religion. And you have to take this in the broader context of how Quebec feel about religion in general. We've had all this révolution tranquille in the 60s. And although Quebecers like to see this as their great moment and a proof that they're so progressive, révolution tranquille was as much as catching up with the other provinces as anything else. So people are really concerned. They're really suspicious of anybody who pretends to be religious and do politics.
And I would just be careful. The A and A, sometimes they sound the same. So I'd just be careful to enunciate.
Team Jagmeet has a plan for Quebec, and it starts with brushing up his French.
Yeah.
Ready, set, go. Merci, mes amis. C'est un honneur d'être ici aujourd'hui.
All right.
All right, getting sharper and sharper.
Indeed.
But he's also learning the lesson of Quebec's discomfort with overt religious symbols, including his own.
Mes amis, je ne suis pas ici pour vous convaincre d'accepter mon turban ni ma barbe. Ce que je veux vous convaincre est que je suis quelqu'un qui partage les mêmes valeurs que vous. I may not have the same identity in terms of my visual appearance, but in terms of my values, these are values that the people of Quebec really believe in. And I want to show that I share that same connection, that I get those same values, and in fact, those are my values. And that connection is a far stronger connection than any sort of dissimilarity that might exist because of my visual appearance. These are some of the people that have made us achieve some historic fundraising.
There may be trouble in Quebec, but Ontario is a different story.
Take us over it. Take it over the top. And we have to make sure it's known that whatever, I'm all right, I'm kind of cool, but more important than me is the team. It's all of you that make this possible, so thank you, Malkeet. You're awesome.
All leadership races are about signing up new members.
What's our goal then? When we make a member, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to inspire in people?
Well, we're trying to make you the Prime Minister of Canada.
Well, that's a huge honor.
With just days remaining, Team Jagmeet will sign up 47,000, more than the party's ever seen.
Oh, you're too young, though, to sign up as a member.
His strength is leading to much greater confidence.
All this work is to sign up, the first phase is to sign up new members.
There's a near constant presence on Facebook and Instagram, and a willingness to stretch the usual boundaries.
Hi, my name is Theo. I'm the campaign manager.
even jokingly casting the daughter of his field director as campaign manager.
The longer Jagmeet and meet as many people as possible. Can we count on you? We don't have much time left. Click the link to donate.
But as his momentum grows on social media, another event shared globally will put Singh on the map.
It's
We know your vote.
so.
We can tell by your votes. We all know.
That's it. It's okay. So what this is.
We all know what he said.
We don't want to be intimidated by hate. We don't want hatred to ruin a positive event, right?
Go ahead.
We don't want hatred to ruin a positive event. So let's show people how we would treat someone with love. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. We love you.
I wasn't angry in the moment. I felt more concerned about the people in the room, and I didn't want this to create a bad taste in the mouths of people. Young people were in the room. I didn't want them to feel upset. So I was really concerned about the people in the room.
I'd like to hear what he has to say. Defend yourself.
We're not worried about this.
It was a transformational event, catapulting him from the campaign to national and international celebrity, recognized not for the woman's attack, but for Singh's response.
And someone asked the question, well, you know, were you prepared for, did you prepare yourself for this event? Or did you prepare yourself for this happening? I'm like, no, I didn't prepare myself. But in a way, your whole life prepared you for this moment. And I thought, you know, that's right. Like, I've faced much more aggressive situations, physically aggressive situations, where I actually had to defend myself.
The next morning, Singh is on the West Coast.
What's up, everybody? We are on a seaplane, about to see some really cool stuff. Come join me on this beautiful journey.
This is the home stretch.
I have to do it again on Instagram, so this is the beauty of Nanaimo. Take a look at it, look at its glory. Lovely.
While Jagmeet shares an enormous amount of his life on social media, there are aspects that he keeps private.
Is there a partner that you have in your life that you would share with us at this time?
At this point, I can neither confirm or deny.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Very happy to meet you, Jagmeet.
Pleasure.
Congratulations on putting your name forward. I'm not decided yet.
That's all good. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
In just weeks, Singh has come to dominate. That is clear in the final debate. Matched against more seasoned competitors, he's at ease and on the offensive.
The question is, do you support the continued prosecution of people just because they have mental health issues? Do you support the continued prosecution of people because they're poor? Do you support the continued prosecution of people who are addicted?
No.
Then let's call for a move to decriminalize.
I will turn it over to
I'll
turn it over to Guy. We can talk later.
And without further ado, I will introduce to Jagmeet Singh.
Singh is on a roll in the final days, comfortably working rooms of supporters. But even here, he's dogged by a perennial question.
Do you think Canada is ready for you, for a seat, Prime Minister?
Thank you. You put me in front of people, I will win them over. I'm confident. But I also have some evidence. They did some polling, and it said that the majority of Canadians are ready. There was a recent poll that came out about 3 weeks ago, and it said the majority of Canadians are ready to vote for a Prime Minister that had a turban and a beard. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
That is an issue that just won't go away. In a country that celebrates diversity, there is a continued infatuation with difference.
You get the impression that the white media seems hit by a kind of exotica.
Ujjal Dosanjh is the former premier of BC.
It shouldn't be treated as something to explore. Let's explore Jagmeet Singh's faith or his turban, or let's explore his color. And I just think that that's wrong. I mean, you know, let's talk about his politics. Let's talk about what he stands for. If you know, talk about it. But, you know, talking about this extra nonsense is absolute nonsense.
For Jagmeet Singh, the personal is political.
People have asked me about what's the story about how I got into politics. Let me tell you the real story.
As you'll see, the attacks decades ago in India, which would propel his rise.
They use their power and position to commit a barbaric act of genocide against their own citizens.
You count on the Fifth Estate for investigative journalism that matters. The Fifth Estate team often counts on you, the viewers, for tips that lead to some of the best investigations.
I have a story.
We felt uncomfortable.
Very disturbing.
To send your tips, email fifthtips@cbc.ca or go to the show website to find out other ways to get in touch.
Mid-campaign, and time for a break. Jagmeet Singh is attending the wedding of close friend and campaign advisor Amrit Bali. The bride and groom are emphasizing how Sikh teachings will be central to their lives. For Jagmeet Singh, this is an opportunity to explain what was central to his political beginnings.
People have asked me about what's the story about how I got into politics. Let me tell you the real story.
Singh's own political awakening began with a meeting of friends discussing a horror on another continent decades earlier.
We were sitting down and talking about what we could do to make sure that we had support at a political level for all issues of human rights and justice, and particularly this case of Sikh genocide.
He's talking about the events of 1984 in India. Following the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards, government-tolerated mobs murdered at least 3,000 Sikhs. Singh was just 5 at the time, but the memory has rippled through his community and would lead Singh and his friends to activism.
We had grown up in a community that had been so deeply impacted, and there was so much trauma in our community. We saw our parents, we saw our friends, families who all had lost someone. Someone had been picked up by the police in Punjab and disappeared.
It started with activism, joining protests in the Toronto area and soon moving to the political arena.
When we started talking about these things, 1984, the Sikh genocide, it came to a point where we felt like it needed to be addressed politically. There was a conversation that took place at a certain point, which was the decision to say we are now going to go from our grassroots activism and extend that into political activism.
But where and how? The group went political shopping, starting with Ontario's Liberals.
I believe it was Dalton McGuinty at the time said something like, well, 1984 was a long time ago. The Conservatives at the time didn't really even want to acknowledge what we were saying. And there was really only one political leader that stood up and defended us, and that was Jack Layton.
In 2011, Singh would be elected as a New Democrat to Ontario's legislature, where he took on a number of provincial issues. But recognition of 1984 would never be far from his mind.
I move that in the opinion of this House, the Government of Ontario should recognize the state-organized violence perpetrated against the Sikhs throughout India as a genocide.
His activism has left some in the Indian government seething. He's been blocked from visiting the country. Major Indian newspapers suggest Singh's political rise is supported by those in Canada who want a separate Sikh state.
Why is it that folks in India always see you and others as separatists?
I don't know, you'd have to ask them why they see it. Something that I believe in very firmly, though, as a human rights activist, as someone that's a Canadian, we know very clearly that everyone has a right to determine their future.
When you say you support it, what do you support?
The rights for every human being to have that ability to determine their future. Self-determination is a right that I support and the United Nations supports.
It is a careful answer, not endorsing Sikh separatism, not rejecting it, leaving Singh open to more questions.
Can you be the leader of a federal political party and support a movement for dismemberment of India? I think that's a question that foreign policy people might be interested in.
A Sikh himself, former BC Premier Ujjal Dosanjh thinks Singh can't have it both ways.
To say that another country, or have sympathies for the division of another country based on religion, I think it's just wrong. You can't be a secular for Canada and a non-secular for India.
That nexus of politics, Canadian and Sikh, and the history that comes with it will continue to follow Singh through this campaign and beyond.
All right, let's do this.
Mid-September, online voting is about to start, so today is a last pitch for the 4 candidates, and Singh is confident. Before he takes to the stage, Singh has a ritual, high-energy music, a last-second motivator.
My secret will know now.
Singh has received the most endorsements, has raised the most money, has signed up the most new members. There is no question he has the momentum. It is evident on his face and here, embracing his mother.
Wow, thank you very much.
Coming up, the last-minute scramble for votes.
Thank you so much. We have 1 hour left, so we really appreciate that.
We are finally ready to reveal the results of the first round.
There's always more to our stories. You can keep up with the Fifth Estate by subscribing to our weekly newsletter. We'll tell you what we're working on and share updates on past stories. Sign up on our website at cbc.ca/fifth.
After months on the road, under the pressure of a campaign, Jagmeet Singh has a moment to unwind.
Okay, so you got policy ideas, but do you know how to dance?
I do. Just like high fives like this.
Just straight up?
Yeah, just straight up, and you just kind of sidestep it.
Okay. Well, I see you doing that. Yeah.
Drop it down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Uncle's going.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
The celebration of Sikh weddings goes on for days. Singh just managed to make it to this final event. Next, he'll find out if all his hard work has paid off.
Let me check. I have to check my phone here. Literally 12 minutes. We got 12 minutes till the results come out. You know, I called up my brother and I called up my sister. I said, this is a historic moment. This is a moment you need to sit down with my nieces and nephews, your kids, and tell them what's about to happen.
Jagmeet Singh hopes this will be a walk towards a win.
2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. We just gotta get you in your seat.
Already seated, his camera-shy parents. On the other side, campaign manager Michael Hay. For a man who normally exudes confidence, today, Singh looks nervous.
We are finally ready to reveal the results of the first round.
To win, one of the 4 candidates needs to take more votes than the others combined. Many believe it won't happen on the first ballot. In fact, in the party's history, it's only happened twice, for Jack Layton and the party's founder, Tommy Douglas.
As the numbers were coming in, I was trying to count them in my mind, but I was so excited that my math all of a sudden just disappeared.
Charlie Angus, number of votes, 12,705. Nikki Ashton, number of votes, 11,374. Steve Heller, number of votes, 6,107.
As soon as that final number came out before Jagmeet, we knew that we had gotten over 51%.
Jagmeet Singh, number of votes, 35,266.
I don't have the words. I don't have the words to capture this journey.
I want to inspire people to feel like they belong in this country, that everyone should feel empowered in their ability to get involved in politics, in leadership, in community activism, because there's a lot of barriers that still exist. A lot of people don't see themselves reflected in leadership.
Let me say, it's an incredibly profound honor. Thank you.
It was an impressive achievement for a visual minority person to achieve this kind of win on the first ballot. That's a tremendous achievement, in addition to actually handling that heckler in a very admirable fashion. So he has some great qualities to be a leader.
All right, so let's rewind and start from the beginning. So anyways, it's pretty crazy. I think all of us realize where much of this started, which is Harman Babulalovi's basement. We used to literally get together and just talk about how we wanted to organize and mobilize and change the world, and here we are today.
These are many of the core friends who a decade ago launched Jagmeet Singh into politics.
This all started with what? No resources.
No experience.
No experience. No rhyme or reason. No one even to like guide us. It was literally just knuckleheads coming together.
That journey began as young activists advocating for Sikh issues. Now they don't want to be defined by it. Their horizons reaching further.
It's our job to make sure that we do our best to fight against people who want to put us in boxes, or put Jagmeet in a box, or make him, responsible for like, a whole community or something like that, where other people aren't put to the same standard.
Of course, there has never been a prime ministerial hopeful like Jagmeet Singh, and for the best friend he began that journey with, Singh now carries the hopes of a generation.
We're in a situation now where we've actually realized one of our goals, which is to have Jagmeet in a position where he could run for Prime Minister of Canada, right? I hope in 10 years that there's another group of 10 that are sitting at a table like this talking about the magic that they created.
Group of 10, man.
Group of 10.
Group of 10.